In a school where attention was currency, Lisa Henderson was bankrupt. Just a black poor girl. As we dive into this story, don't forget to like and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to subscribe for more powerful ones. She didn't own the latest sneakers, didn't have manicured nails, or the kind of parents who dropped off Starbucks before first period. Her backpack was stitched in 3 places. Her jeans were faded, cuffed, and always just a little too short. When she walked through the hallways of Roosevelt High, she moved like a shadow, present, but unnoticed. She wasn't loud. She didn't raise her hand in class. She didn't post filtered selfies or TikToks from her bedroom. She read. She read during lunch, hunched over a library copy of Beloved or Frankenstein, while the other girls gossiped and swapped lip gloss. She read on the bus ride home, fingers curled around cracked pages, drowning out the noise of Bluetooth speakers and loud laughter. She read while washing dishes at the diner where she worked nights, propping her books behind the register, stealing paragraphs between orders. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was just surviving. At 8 years old, Lisa had watched her mother collapse onto the kitchen linoleum with a needle still in her arm. The sirens came next. Then the social workers. Then the boxers. Her father was never found. Not that anyone looked for long. From that moment on, she stopped expecting permanence. Foster homes came and went like seasons. Names blurred together. Bedrooms weren't hers. They were borrowed, decorated in someone else's trophies and baby photos. Every time she unpacked her suitcase, she left half of it zipped, knowing she'd be moving again. But the books stayed. Books didn't judge her when she had to use free lunch vouchers. They didn't whisper charity case when she walked into school in a coat donated by the church thrift store. They didn't care that her real last name had been crossed out on every file she owned. They just opened and let her escape. Her current foster placement was the exception. Miss Geneva Thompson was a retired librarian in her late 60s who smelled of peppermint and jasmine tea. She wore cardigans with elbow patches and had a voice like warm honey over smooth wood. The house was small, filled with bookshelves instead of televisions, and it always felt like autumn, soft, quiet, golden. There were sticky notes all over the fridge. Not reminders to buy milk or pay bills, but gentle affirmations in looping cursive. Don't quit. Being quiet doesn't mean being weak. Smart girls scare people. Be terrifying. Lisa didn't speak much at home, either. But Miss Geneva didn't seem to mind. She just slid library books across the table during dinner, checked Lisa's essays without being asked, and sometimes, on long Sunday afternoons, read aloud to her from memoirs of women who changed the world without ever raising their voices. At school, Lisa remained invisible, but invisibility came with advantages. No one paid attention when she aced her exams. No one noticed she spent her free periods researching scholarships on the public library computers. No one cared enough to ask why a 16-year-old girl was always exhausted by third period. No one knew she worked nights, cleaned the house in the early morning, and still had time to read 3 novels a week. One teacher once looked over her worn notebook filled with calculus problems and said flatly, "Maybe just focus on graduating. College isn't realistic for everyone." Lisa didn't argue. She never did. Instead, she went home, taped another one of Miss Geneva's sticky notes inside her locker, "Let them underestimate you. It's quieter that way," and applied to 5 more colleges in silence. The other girls planned prom. Lisa planned her escape. She didn't speak of dreams, because dreams got laughed at. She didn't talk about ambition, because ambition made people uncomfortable. Instead, she poured herself into a quiet storm of progress, 1 page, 1 test, 1 sleepless night at a time. The only sound in her life that truly mattered was the turning of pages. And beneath that silence, something fierce was growing. While Roosevelt High buzzed with hallway drama and college gossip, Lisa was building an empire in silence. Every lunch period, she slipped away from the cafeteria chaos and tucked herself into the back corner of the library, behind the encyclopedias no one touched, under flickering lights that made everything look sepia-toned and forgotten. That forgotten place was her sanctuary. There, Lisa created a war room of dreams, a spreadsheet of scholarships, bookmarked essay prompts, a dog-eared copy of the elements of style marked with highlighter and hope. She memorized deadlines like lyrics, wrote application essays between diner shifts, practiced interview questions in the mirror, while folding laundry at 1 a.m. While her classmates shared Spotify playlists and Snap stories, Lisa collected rejection emails like medals. Each one stung, but none broke her. She pressed forward like someone chasing oxygen. No tutors. No prep classes. No one proofreading her essays except Miss Geneva, who cried, softly, proudly, when Lisa handed her a statement that began, "I come from nowhere, but that doesn't mean I'll stay there." Her guidance counselor didn't even know she was applying. The same woman who forgot Lisa's name in meetings now organized college readiness events for students with parents who could donate, who had GPAs just high enough, who had charm and volume and the confidence of never having to wonder where they'd sleep that night. Lisa didn't resent them. But she didn't envy them either. She had something they didn't, a reason. Everything she did was for something bigger than just getting out. She wanted more than escape, she wanted proof. Proof that quiet girls from nowhere could rise. That being unwanted didn't mean you had nothing to offer. That the system may have tried to erase her, but it hadn't succeeded. And then, one April morning changed everything. The mailbox was filled with the usual clutter, ads, bills, junk mail. Miss Geneva was flipping through them absent-mindedly when her fingers stopped. A large crimson envelope. The kind that looked expensive just to print. Embossed seal. Thick parchment. Her eyes scanned the return address. Cambridge, Massachusetts. Her voice trembled as she called out, "Lisa, honey, something's come for you." Lisa stepped into the kitchen, still wearing her work apron, still smelling faintly of grease and soap. Her eyes landed on the envelope, and everything inside her went still. Her hands shook as she opened it. Miss Geneva watched quietly, eyes full of tears before a word was even read. Lisa unfolded the letter. "We are pleased to inform you that you have been admitted to Harvard University, class of 2030. You have also been selected for the Presidential Full Scholarship, covering all tuition, housing, and expenses for the duration of your undergraduate degree." There was a handwritten note at the bottom. "From the Director of Admissions. We've never seen a story like yours. You remind us of why we do this. Welcome home." Lisa stood frozen. Not smiling. Not crying. Just standing. Like someone trying to remember how to breathe. She walked to her room in silence, letter still in hand. Sat on her bed. Stared at the words. Reread them. Again. And again. When she finally looked up, there was something new in her eyes. Not disbelief. Not even joy. Just clarity. Everything she had done, the long nights, the tears cried into library books, the invisible years, it had meant something. And now, the world was about to find out. The Monday after the envelope arrived, Roosevelt High felt different. The weather hadn't changed. The lockers still jammed. The teachers still took attendance like they were reading off a grocery list. But something in the air, in Lisa, was different. She walked through the school doors in her usual thrift store jeans and faded backpack, but her steps had weight now. Her eyes weren't downcast anymore. She wasn't walking to avoid being seen. She was walking to be remembered. Tucked inside the front pocket of her jacket was the Harvard letter. Not to flaunt. Not to prove a point. Just to carry. Like armor. The day started like any other. Whispers about prom dates and party recaps floated through the halls. No one noticed her. Not at first. Until second period. In Mr. Connolly's English class, Lisa usually sat in the back. Head down. Notes sharp. Invisible. But today, when he asked if anyone had submitted their college applications yet, Lisa raised her hand. It was so quiet you could hear someone flip a page. Mr. Connolly blinked, surprised. "Yes. Lisa." She stood slowly. "I got into Harvard." A pause. A long one. Someone laughed, short, awkward, unsure. A few kids turned to each other with raised eyebrows. One guy muttered, "Yeah, and I'm going to NASA." Lisa didn't flinch. She reached into her bag, pulled out the envelope, and handed it to Mr. Connolly. He opened it. "Read." Slower. Slower. His eyes widened with every line. His mouth opened slightly. This is real," he said, voice hoarse. "Harvard. Full ride." The classroom stilled. You could feel the shift, like a storm cloud clearing. Like someone rewrote the rules in real time. Suddenly, the girl they called Charity Case wasn't invisible anymore. Whispers spread through the hallways. "Did you hear? Lisa got into Harvard. Like, full ride. Full ride." By lunchtime, she was being approached by students who'd never spoken to her before. One asked what her GPA was. Another wanted help editing their essay. Someone even asked if she could tag them in her story. But Lisa didn't gloat. She didn't seek attention. She didn't even change how she walked or spoke. She just smiled, small and calm, like someone who already knew how it would all turn out. When the guidance counselor who once forgot her name invited her to a student success panel, Lisa politely declined. "I'll come back," she said. But not for a panel. Instead, she spent the rest of the week tutoring 2 freshmen who reminded her of herself, quiet, unnoticed, and brilliant beneath the surface. Each time someone congratulated her, Lisa said thank you. But in her heart, she knew, this wasn't just about her. It was about what was possible. Because the truth was, she hadn't needed their validation. She had done it all without them. And now, she was proof. Proof that the overlooked girl in the back of the room wasn't just surviving, she was ascending. 10 years had passed. The halls of Roosevelt High were smaller now. The lockers still carried dents from restless teenage hands. The trophy case was updated, but none of the names inside meant anything to Lisa. She didn't come back for nostalgia, or to be celebrated. She came back for someone else. The auditorium buzzed with confused murmurs. The invitation had been vague. Special assembly, alumni speaker and announcement. Some students were annoyed. Others excited for a break from class. They didn't recognize the woman who stepped onto the stage. Black. Beautiful. Poise. Braids pulled back into a crown bun. Harvard Law hoodie beneath a tailored blazer. No makeup except for the quiet fire in her eyes. Principal Dennison cleared his throat. "Students, please welcome one of Roosevelt's own, Lisa Jones." Murmurs turned into stunned silence. That name. Lisa. Charity Case Lisa? She stepped to the podium. No notes. No teleprompter. Just her voice. "I used to sit in the last row," she began. "Wore hammer-downs. Ate lunch alone. Never raised my hand, because I thought no one wanted to hear what I had to say." She paused. "I was in foster care. I moved homes more times than I can count. I got called names. Ignored. Doubted." She smiled softly. "But I also had books. And Miss Geneva. And a quiet belief that even if no one saw me now, one day, they would." The room held its breath. She continued, "Harvard gave me a full ride when I was 16. Law school at 21. And today, I'm here to give someone else a key." She turned to the screen behind her. It lit up. The Geneva Grant, $50,000 for foster youth and first-gen students. Gasps. Applause. A few tears. She held up a scholarship check, made out to a shy sophomore from the group home down the street. As she handed it to the girl, Lisa leaned in, just loud enough for her to hear. "They laughed at me, too. Let them. You're about to scare them." The auditorium erupted. But Lisa didn't soak in the applause. She stepped back, hands folded, eyes locked on the girl, the next one. Because this wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about building a door where there used to be a wall. And handing someone else the key. Being overlooked doesn't mean being unworthy. Sometimes the quietest voices are the ones rewriting the future, and when they rise, they don't just speak, they open doors for others. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories that inspire, challenge, and stay with you.